Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. Just as a reminder, I know you're all coming in and seeing your microphones are off and your cameras are off. That was done intentionally. We have a lot of people interested in joining the call today, so we want to manage that bandwidth. So just your panel, your friendly faces of your panel will be available today. We'll give everybody just a little bit of time to come join in. Wonderful. All right, we're getting there. All right. We'll just continue kind of admitting people as they come in here, but to honor everybody's time and to try to make sure we're getting through all these really great questions that were submitted via the form, I want to make sure we get started on time here. Again, as a reminder, for those of you that are just joining who missed that intro, you'll notice your cameras and your microphones are turned off. This will be for the remainder of the meeting here. Just to manage some of that bandwidth, so we can admit all the people who want to come and learn more about what's going on with our building. We are going to flow through the questions that were submitted first through the form that was in the event link. So those questions will be prioritized. It is likely that those will take up the entire hour. But please know the chat is available. So if you have a question that you're looking to get answered or you would like a little more information, please put that in the chat. I'll be trying to moderate that to let you know if your answer is coming later, or if we will be able to get to it at the end of our, after all of those form questions have been answered. So I am going to get us started here. I'm going to have Jeff, would you mind admitting people for the while I get us started? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will just say, yeah, my name's Ashley Hanlon. I'm the membership and marketing director for the Colorado Mountain Club. Excited to be here with all of you to talk about this really exciting transition that we're going through. You hopefully recognize some of these names, but maybe not the faces, which is really exciting. So I will kind of pass it down the line here and let them all introduce themselves. Madeline, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, hi, I'm Madeline Bachner-Lane. I know a lot of names on the call tonight, but I'm the CEO of the Colorado Mountain Club. I've been in that role since February, but I've been with the club for about 3+ years now. That's me.
Thanks, Madeline. Cheryl, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Cheryl Lampert. I'm an active member and volunteer, but I'm also on the board of directors, so I'll be here providing perspectives from a lot of different people.
Thanks, Cheryl. Jeff, why don't you go ahead?
Jeff Flax. I am here in my role as past president of the state board of directors and interim CEO between September and February. And I'm a first-time caller.
Oh, you're not.
Zach, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Zach Jump. I'm the Director of Operations for the club. I've been on board with the team since this past May.
Amazing. Thanks, Zach. Graham, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Graham Otley, Education Director at the Colorado Mountain Club. So I'm here to answer questions about education. Thanks for
Wonderful.
tuning in.
Thank you all. I will shout out our new board president, Peter Hamilton, is also joining us on the call. He is in the car, so he is muted, but I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Hi, everyone. As Ash said, Pete Hamilton, newly elected president of the board. I am super stoked to see the interest in the club and look forward to hearing the discussion. Thanks.
Amazing. Thank you all. really, really, again, grateful that you all are here and grateful that you care about the CMC so much that you are taking time out of your day to be here. So without further ado, I am going to jump right into these questions because I know there's a lot going on here. So first of all, thanks to both Lois and Michael for asking our kickoff question, which is why? Why is the CMC moving? I'm gonna ask Madeline to take that one on for us.
Thanks, Ashley. Happy to provide a little bit more detail. As many of you know, the AMC, where we've been housed for 30 years now, was built in 1923. So it is a historic building. It has a historic easement on it. And while it has served as our home and several different organizations' home over the years, and the historic importance is undeniable, it takes a lot to maintain a building of that age. So one of the primary reasons that we, along with our partners, the Alpine Club, decided it was time is because of the resources that would be needed in order to continue the maintenance of the building, and the fact that we're both mission-driven organizations, and historic building preservation is, in fact, not our mission. So we're really excited to be able to invest in advancing our core mission rather than diverting more resources to historic preservation. So our focus moving forward will be on our mission, which is to foster connections to Colorado landscapes through community stewardship and outdoor education and recreation. So we're excited to channel our energy and really be able to use our resources well in a new space.
Thanks, Madeline. You kind of hinted at it there. That our next question, people are dying to know, Lois, Daniel, and Art, where are we going next?
So I'm super excited to be able to share with you all on this call. You are getting the news first. We are incredibly excited. We closed on the purchase of a new building today. So this is hot off the presses. As of this afternoon, the CMC is the proud owner of a building on 32nd and McIntyre. So we have a new home. Over the next month, we'll be moving into that home, and we'll have further communications coming out around that soon. But this is really exciting news. I'm so glad I could share it with you all tonight. The timing worked out really well. It's been a long time in the works to make this transition function as smoothly as it has. So I appreciate the patience over the last couple of weeks. I know some folks felt like there was something missing from that announcement of the sale, but it was just those final 2 weeks to conclude the deal and get us into our new home. So just so everyone knows, we are very excited to start the move. We're not going to be quite ready to invite members and volunteers to this space just yet. We'll be moving and settling in. There are some renovations that'll need to be done. I know folks are wondering, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later on in the call, but we will be building a climbing wall in that space. So we look forward to moving in over the fall and hosting members this coming winter. So we will be providing programming space again very soon.
Thanks, Madeline.
Welcome to the news.
Yeah, very, very exciting. I know this, like Madeline said, this worked out perfectly in terms of timing. I know that announcement probably spurs a whole lot of other questions. So hopefully we're able to kind of get into some of those details to make sure everyone's kind of feeling like their questions are answered. But hopefully that addresses some of those, are we going to be homeless questions, which is very clear we are not. Some of the other really important questions that came out of the form were, why were members not consulted? This feels like it came out of nowhere. Why wasn't there a capital campaign run to try to save the building? And again, we're super excited to announce this new building, but we want to make sure we still address some of those lingering questions that members and volunteers have. So for that, I'm going to ask Jeff Flax to shed a little bit of light on some of the history here.
Yeah, so this definitely didn't happen overnight. This is something that goes back when I was board vice president, and certainly as president. We have been working on this seriously for about 4 years. As Madeline mentioned, the building that we're in now, nice, is great memories. We've done a lot of stuff. I've been in the club 16 and a half years, the classes, social functions. carry a lot of memories with me, but I look forward to carrying a lot of new memories into our beautiful new space. This discussion started, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago. Kind of lightly, got much more serious as I was president, and then particularly over the last few months, actually a year ago, when I became the interim CEO, when Keegan left. So we've looked at a lot of options. We've been dealing with the owners, the AAC, in just our various options, and it was hard. And looking around and see what we could find, it became real clear to us over the last 2-3 years that we just couldn't stay in the MC. It just wasn't a good fit for us any longer. It wasn't really financially responsible for us to stay in there. As you may know, we had a lot of very expensive repairs that came out of nowhere. And that likely was to continue in our old building that needs a lot of work and a lot of maintenance. So this was the decision to ensure that sustainability, the financial sustainability of the club. We looked at options that are owners and felt this was the best way to go. So, real excited. I mean, this is the future of CMC. We've got a great new home. We've got all kinds of potential in this cool new building. It will be totally ours. No owners, no nothing. It just belongs to the CMC. Actually, did you want to, you wanted me to cover on that?
I would love if you could speak on maybe the legal part of it. That was another part of these questions where, why couldn't we know ahead of time? Why what was the lack of transparency here? So if you could speak on that, that would be great.
Sure. Preface it by saying I'm not a lawyer, but I've been knee deep or thigh deep or chest deep and all of it. And very much with Matt. She took over in February. This is my new exposure to commercial real estate. Certainly bought and sold houses before, but as I learned, commercial real estate is a whole new experience. There are a lot of really strict non-disclosure agreements that we had to sign a lot, and really restricted how much we could talk about with potential buyers and other people involved. We were real tied in. They're put in place to protect us, potential buyers who don't want to be disclosed for various reasons or financial reasons, and their investors and whatever. So it's not something we could share. I mean, it's not something we could share with a lot of people. Even within the board, there were select people who were able to know about it. The executive committee had much more of a role. This has been restricted within staff and how much staff could know. And, I and then Madeline have been able to disclose more over time, but still with restrictions. I think part of the balance, I thought a lot about this, having been on both sides as a volunteer and being on staff and with other organizations, the situation of transparency and what that balance is and how much we would like to disclose and wish we could disclose at times, but at others we can't. And we're just, in this flow, if anybody else has been involved in commercial real estate, the restrictions that we go through in making this happen. And it really wasn't till 3 weeks ago that Madeline was able to announce the sale of the building, and until today that she was able to announce the purchase of the building. I think those papers were signed, about 1 o'clock, Madeline? So this is as hot off the press as it gets.
And
Thanks,
I can
Jeff.
add to that as well. And first and foremost, I am, like Jeff, a member and volunteer within the organization. And I was fortunate enough to be on the board during this very exciting time. And I can just iterate what Jeff said, please understand that's important business decisions, and we on the board are here to support the members and the whole board. And even as a board member, I didn't know everything, but we were there to make the big decisions on behalf of the staff and the club and everyone. So I can understand why people feel like they were surprised by this, but please be assured that we're doing the best that we can to make sure that this was a successful transition and setting us up for a successful future as a club.
And this is a former church, by the way. So I like the comment from Michael, no conversion required. It actually
We'll talk about it
was
more.
bought by a architect who's building nearby. So we're not walking into a church. It's an older church, former church.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Cheryl and Jeff. The board perspective is super important, and just knowing and just Peter's presence here as well shows it was a very collaborative effort between Madeline, leading the charge from the staff perspective, and then the board being fully behind it. So it's was a very overall club leadership decision, which is great. Okay, I'm gonna kick it over to Zach next to talk a little bit about, we have a question from John about the financials of this situation, and just kind of asking some questions about, selling our building, purchasing a new building, what that means for our finances. So Zach, if you could handle that one, that would be great.
Sure. I don't, without really getting into specifics on numbers, I don't think that that's really the place for this. But really, as you've heard tonight, the sale of our current building and the purchase of our new facility are really a part of a long and carefully planned out strategy. Our goal being really to ensure the long-term financial health of the club. This move will really allow us to optimize those financial resources that we have, while also creating that better space for all of us to better fulfill our mission. Along with really addressing some of our financial commitments, we are carefully managing our resources as a result of all these transactions to ensure that we have the real flexibility in making the best decisions for CMC. Our firm priority is balancing our current responsibilities with the other side of really the kind of the visions of the future of the club. This move really positions Colorado Mountain Club for lasting success, giving us a facility that will require considerably less upgrades over time, as Jeff was talking about, and really most importantly, allowing us to continue to do our best work to offer the programs that meet the evolving needs of our members. So, that's really where we're at from the financial perspective.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
If you could also, again, glad to kind of talk about that a little bit, but also what are the actual move logistics, that kind of stuff that people have been asking about, if we were to move, and now that we have announced that we in fact are moving. Mm-hmm. People are really interested in knowing, how does the stuff that's currently in the AMC go with us? What goes with us? And then also, how does this impact our programming and staffing and things like that?
Sure. Well, as you can imagine, moving logistics and planning for this move is happening pretty fast and furious right now. But really, as we move forward with this transition, it's important to understand that many of the resources that are both in, around, outside of the AMC don't necessarily belong to us, not unless it's something that could be really easily removed and moved to our new location. They're part of the building itself. So as we prepare for this, we're really focusing our efforts on moving only what truly supports our mission and our future goals. You'll probably hear the word streamline from me a few times, but this is really an exciting opportunity for us to streamline and to prioritize a new space that both honors our past, but also sets ourselves up for future ideas, fresh growth, the future of the club. As far as staff, volunteers, programming, our intention is to be able to move our staff into this location immediately. There will be some work that we have to do to bring ourselves up to a level to be able to offer the programs that are currently in AMC. But staff and volunteer involvement will definitely be required to support this move. But at the end of the day, we are looking to do this with the least amount of disruption to our day-to-day operations, from membership to offering programs, but any of those real scheduling changes that may happen if it's moving or if there's a construction build out or anything like that will certainly be announced to our members out ahead of time.
Thanks, Jeff. Or thanks, Jeff. Zach.
Still Zach.
I know. Sorry. Too many names on here. I know those questions came to us from Rolf and from Linda, so I really
Sure.
appreciate that. I know that a lot of people are curious about, the bricks in front of the building and the holds on the climbing wall. There are certain things that are, they are a part of the building, and it's exciting to try to, like you said, like have space to build out that vision in a new place. So we can it'll be great.
And Jeff and I were at the new location this morning, already starting to prepare for some of the infrastructure of just being able to work on day one. So
Amazing.
None of this is going to stop the club, for sure.
Love it. Love to hear that. Okay, so our next question's kind of on the heels of what Zach is talking about. What we can take out of the building, what serves our mission, that kind of stuff. We've got questions again from Rolf and Linda about the assets that belong in the museum, the library, all of those things. Cheryl, I'm going to ask you to handle that question for me.
Great, because I love the museum. Anyone that knows me, love it. We were fortunate enough to spend kind of our last night in the museum last week. There's some great photos that we'll share eventually. So the museum is owned by the American Alpine Club, or they're in charge of that, as well as the library, which is an absolute gem. So they're not really our property or our assets, but we have confidence that the AAC is going to continue to maintain them and provide them to the community as they have for the past however many years. What that means for us, we can't tell you where the museum will be or where the artifacts will be or the books. But again, we're confident they're going to continue to take care of that. And they are going to stay in Colorado, all of those artifacts, including the goat at the entrance. Actually, that is on lease from the zoo. Maybe that will come with us to our new location. We'll work on that. But if you have any questions about the museum or the library, you can message the American Alpine Club for that. And maybe Ashley can provide that in the chat later, who you can contact if you have any additional questions that we can't answer about them.
Thanks, Cheryl. That was a great idea. I did just pop in Shane Johnson, that's their director or their communications director. I popped his email in the chat. So if you've got other questions about the museum or any of those assets, feel free to reach out to them, because unfortunately we don't know exactly how that will play out. They're working on, realigning their mission as well. So
Ashley, can I jump in and add, I'm still working with a couple of folks in the Alpine Club around some loans that might be appropriate for our new space as we get it set up. So while we don't own those items, we are able to get loans, certainly for our Colorado Mountain Club collection. And I'm working on some other potentials as well. So I think I feel really good about their ability to maintain those. That's why they have those archives to begin with, and our ability to use them as needed to make our space our own.
Thank you, Madeline. That's perfect. I'm glad to hear that that's happening. Okay, so moving on to our next question here. We got another question from Linda. Asked a lot of great questions. Thank you, Linda, if you're out there. What will this impact our servers, our CMC servers? Now, I'm going to throw this one to Jeff, who is like he said, moved from board president to interim interim CEO, and then now into an interim IT manager role. So, this will be the perfect question for you, Jeff.
So this is kind of like the political debates. I want to go back and add one thing to the last question, and then I'll answer my question. Just a quick follow-up on the stuff at the AAC has in our collection. So this goes back to me as interim CEO. we have an arrangement where we deeded a lot of old CMC materials, and Steve Banowski knows all about this. Under that deed, we have access to it, and importantly, the deed is good as long as AAC remains in Colorado. So it's not like they're going to pick it up and move to wherever. So it does stay nearby with us. In terms of IT, this would have been a very different answer 5 years ago. Everything is cloud-based now, with the exception of our internal VoIP phones. And so the website, all of our SharePoint, all of our 365, all of our pretty much everything we do, QuickBooks, everything has been moved to the cloud. So it's kind of a nominal move in that sense for us from IT. As Zach mentioned, we were over there this morning really plotting out, making sure we've got internet in the building, since we're all so dependent on it with staff and you guys getting a hold of us. But there really isn't any technology for us to have to move.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. That is encouraging. So on the heels of speaking of Steve Banowski, adding a question in here talking about conservation and some of the files we have, we absolutely, those are currently in the membership room, Steve, just wanting to let you know that. And that's part of our responsibility to move. So we are totally on top of that, considering none of our conservation staff are actually physically located in our building. But I want to get to the second. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jack or Zach.
I'm just going to go with Jeff for today. Yeah, I think it's, one of the things just as we knew a couple of weeks ago that we were certainly going to be selling the building, we've already started prepping with all of the departments to start inventorying their areas and starting to understand the things that need to be moved, both large and small. So we've gone through basically a lot of nooks and crannies of the AMC, and there are a lot of them there, to make sure that we are covering all of those functional areas. So everything from files, gear, sheds that are outside. I know that there's a lot of just physical property that is on site there that is important for our functioning. So we're going through all of that and just making sure that essentially whatever we have on site with the AMC certainly will come with us. We do have a considerable amount of storage space in our new location, so that's really fortunate for us that we will, while we do want to do some trimming down before we move things, we have a lot of space to bring everything with us.
Yeah. This is a perfect segue again to address the latter part of Steve's question, as well as a question that we had received from Wayne about gear storage and how are we going to handle all of the gear that we have within the building. So I'm going to kick that over to Graham to answer.
All right. I'm going to just paste Wayne's question there. So folks can see it if you want to, but just, yeah, what's the plan for gear storage and access? And yeah, those needs, I think like any good outdoor person was top of mind for the committee when there was that, that site selection process, and having ample storage space for gear was part of it. And other people on this on the panel can speak to that process and how that factored in, or how that factored into that specific location. But yeah, I think our ideal is that everyone has the opportunity to, kind of see it in person. But if you have gear that's currently residing in the CMC, you can expect that will have a home at the new location. So we know it's super important, and that new space was picked because of its ability to provide that ample storage. So I want to definitely highlight, this is an opportunity for the club to come together and take part in that process of relocating to our new home. And like any sort of housewarming party, it should be festive, right? And there should be plenty of opportunity. Specifically with the climbing school and all of that gear, there will be lots of opportunity to just really make the most of this new space in terms of where that gear is kept.
Amazing. Thanks,
Graham,
Graham.
can I tag on to that a little bit too? Sorry, I'm going to keep
Yes.
Jeff here.
Thank you.
A couple things, not just space for storage was a consideration, but and even again, the site visit that we did today, the same level of accessibility by our members has been top of mind to be able to for accessing gear after hours, weekends, whatever it may be. But that's with a lot of our planning out with this new space, we're keeping in mind the same functionality that the club currently operates under. So if it's secure areas that we can provide that access to storage and or facilities where it's not just something that you have to be there whenever staff is there, we're keeping all that into consideration. And then the other thing, just to tag on to Graham about, with this new space and some of our transition, really welcoming some of these smaller groups to be able to come in and help us turn it into kind of the next generation of that club. So if it is even something of gear storage, what is the most functional way that it can meet our needs, I think is a really exciting opportunity for the weeks and months to come.
Thanks for that. All right, I'm just reading some. Michael's really got some good things in the chat for for today. So it's perfect timing. Louise in the chat asked about our actual rental space, like what our classrooms will look like. We also received in the forum questions about this from both Mike and Frank. Graham, I'm gonna let you field this one again, just kind of how that larger vision, like you mentioned, the people who made the choices to move into this building, because there was a large panel of people, what that space is going to look like for our courses and classroom spaces.
Yeah. So there's a couple questions that referenced the classroom space. The information is very new. It's new to me, new to staff, and obviously very, very new to everyone on this call. But there will be a transition process. It's not going to be, flipping the switch. All right, we're walking out of here. Now we're walking into the replicate space that we have to operate in. It will take a little while to adapt and really sort of optimize this facility to what we want to do in terms of our mission. But yeah, that's again, I would say even more so than the gear storage, but it's that environment to teach to members and to just facilitate our educational programming. So that is, I would say top of mind as well in terms of what is this new space and how well is it going to work for the club in terms of just its function. So specifically, there's a little bit more specifics as there may be likely school directors on this call. And so thinking about just the calendar here, if you have a school or a function that falls within the next 2 months, right? So we're operating in our current facility as long as we can, and we will. Sorry.
Just it's within the next month that we're going to be in this facility.
Thank you. Yeah. So if you're falling within the calendar year of 2024, so thinking about November, December, those last 2 months, you will fall into kind of this in-between phase, and we hope that there's a great option at this new facility if we can make that available, and it may look like you may have to find a alternate space with the assistance of our staff. And so we're committed to that transition and that smooth process as much as possible. So.
Can I add another detail? I know Louise asked specifically about groups of 100 or more, and we will have space for that. We've really tried to replicate a lot of the common needs. So I know large groups, classrooms that host 20 to 30 folks on a regular basis. We will have those. And as Graham was saying, for the month of October, we are still operating out of the American Mountaineering Center. And then November and December, please make sure your needs are on the calendar so that we can accommodate those. And we're going to be working directly with folks to find spaces depending on what the needs are. And then in early 25, we'll be working more on a specific transition into, we hope, into the new space for most of our programming.
Great. Lots of questions about programming, which is amazing because that's a huge part of what we do. I am excited, and so is Joe, about this next question about the climbing wall. That is a huge staple in the current building. And both Joe in the chat here asking about a committee and all different kinds of ideas already flowing, which is lovely. I know Cheryl's on board with that too. But Greg from the forum also asks, yeah, like what are we doing for a climbing wall build? What's kind of the plan for that? So last question, Graham, I promise, but this one's for you.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. So that part of our current building does not currently exist, but it will be rebuilt essentially. So we have every intention to use that part of our space to recreate that teaching environment that we have at the American Mountaineering Center. And just a quick side note, when you walk into that lobby, for me, it's like, wow, compared to these state-of-the-art climbing gyms, it's not the flashiest, but I think over the time spent in the AMC, I've really come to appreciate and value the great teaching space that wall provides. And that's the same with youth programs as well, is that they really do rely on this as a main part of the programming. And sort of a launch pad or launching point for outdoor climbing. So, yeah.
Graham, how are we working on courses and classes and programs that are like in need of a climbing wall now?
Yeah, sure. So kind of repeating, so we have access to the AMC through the end of this coming month. Fortunately for the technical climbing school, a lot of the specific needs for the climbing wall it sort of falls at a good spot for that. Though there will continue to be needs. So we were looking at, we needed specifically a crack climbing area for a specific class that was offered. And we did go to an alternative location. We factored that. There was some cost associated with it. Obviously, no cost is better than some, but for that particular class, there was cost associated with it that worked out, and they were pretty excited to have us come through. And really, this is a great opportunity if you think about just interacting with the broader community. Those relationships we do want to be really mindful of, when we're asking of another organization to work with their facilities. So I think it's an opportunity to kind of expand the reach of the club during this time of transition. So, sure. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that class.
It is, our programming space is the mountains and the outdoors. So, we don't need to be focused on although it's really convenient, we don't need to be focused on our indoor climbing facility because in preparation, we want to take you outside. However, it's a great resource for us and for other people in the community. And this is an exciting opportunity for us to build something for our programming space that is specific to our needs. So it's very exciting for us. You know, the wall, you're like, well, I wish it could do this or this. But to me, it's perfect. Like, I think it is such a charming wall. I just posted something in the chat too. There are a lot of open climb nights coming up because in preparation for this, we're like, people are going to want to climb on this wall one last time. We can't take it with us. We have tried and thought about this over and over, like, how can we move this wall? But it was built and formed to be in this lobby here, but that's okay. We will have another wall that will be built to where our new home is going to be, and it's going to be great. And Graham has a Pinterest board already started on ideas to how we can make this space great. So I hope you all share my enthusiasm for this, because I'm really excited to be able to create something that is going to suit our needs for education for youth and adult.
I'll just add too, youth programs also uses the wall. We see about 6,000 students a year. Many of them do use the wall. And youth programs is also working with some local partners for the interim in this transition time. But I'm excited to be able to have a wall or even multiple climbing areas to host all of our needs.
Oh, you guys got me all excited. And I'm not even a climber, so this is really exciting.
Not yet.
There we go. I don't know. Okay, well, these questions have been flying through here, so I want to address. Yes, it is an old church, and I'm going to pitch this over to Zach, just from a more operational side, kind of about what does renovating an old church look like? You know, what do we think? What do we think here? Are we allowed to drink beer, or is it only wine, as someone so eloquently put in the chat? Well, Zach, you're muted, my friend.
Sorry.
Because I didn't call you Jeff.
Right. You know, for me, I think it's kind of a blank slate. And that's really, as you know, the couple times that I've been there, you really see it. Is there work to do to remove some of the elements that really make it look and feel like it's an old church? Of course there is, and there's plenty of work to be done there. But there's also I think you keep hearing the word opportunity tonight also, but there's a lot of opportunity to make this space our own. You know, there's plenty of office space and functional areas for our programs, but there's a lot of open areas, both indoors and outdoors of that property, that I think allow us to turn this into our new home and make this really feel like something that supports our programs in a way that is exciting and fun and new. As far as new building renovations, you know, our first priorities are really technology, to make sure that the building can operate, both from inter-office staff as well as anything else that they're. We're already looking at security for the building with regards to doors and access. But outside of that, it's going to be an ongoing process of really opening up that vision, I think, from everything from the climbing walls, which is going to be amazing to see inside of this building, to our functional areas that are both big rooms, small rooms. There's a lot of open space that is going to allow us to have some creativity. And I think, you know, this call is just kind of the beginning of opening up, I think, to membership of how we can make this space, you know, not just be functional, but be pretty amazing for us all.
That's really, it's exciting.
I'll also add, we finalized this deal hours ago. So do give us some grace and a few minutes here to collect ourselves and all these ideas. But we will try to keep you informed as best we can as we start this development.
Amazing.
I just saw something come in about parking, and
Yes.
there's considerable amount of parking around that building that was certainly a big qualifying factor of looking at any buildings, was being able to have the buildings have the parking for big events. Just really kind of make sure that that's not an obstacle for any of our programming. And as I think Jeff said it earlier about it's not just the inside of the building, but there is in future plans, it's not development that we're going to do, but we know what the development is happening around us of a considerable amount of outdoor space that will have accessibility for whatever kind of programming, meeting, cocktail party, whatever we wanted to do outside as well.
Okay.
Thanks. Can I just answer Anne's question? I just saw that come up.
Yes.
And I'm sure people are Googling the heck out of this, but we own the church and the parking lot. And then we own just a little piece of the grass behind it. And Zach was just saying there'll be open space built along, there's 2 ditches behind there that we'll have access to. And then there will be a townhome development just to the west of the property. So we don't own that whole corner, just the parking lot and church piece. Hopefully that answers that.
That is perfect.
And thanks, y'all. We're getting some really lovely comments. Much appreciated.
Yeah, this is great. I appreciate all of there's a lot of praise and appreciation coming in. Thank you all for saying that. We really do appreciate it. We are, technically, 10 minutes ahead of schedule for the most part. So we've got the panel here. You're free to ask some more questions. I've been trying to answer questions as they come up. I know we had one more question come in, about the library. Just to reiterate that here, the CMC we don't own any part of the library. That's actually exclusively run by the American Alpine Club. So a little bit further back in the chat is Shane Johnson's email if you want to reach out to kind of figure out what their plans are there. John has a question in here. Square footage
18,000.
of
18,000 square feet. And the current building's just under 50.
I think it's important to know, like, we're switching from an old high school that was expanded on twice to a former church. So keeping that in mind, knowing that we occupy much less than 50,000, we don't need the full 50,000.
No, we've occupied about 15,000, I think.
That
with
Madeline,
the whole
that's perfect.
conference, if you count the whole conference.
Thank you. And again, someone asked earlier, like, all our space, we are the sole owners of this new building, which is exciting and opens us up for a lot more, which is great. Anne has asked if there's a kitchen. Yes, functioning kitchen, which is really exciting. Yes, a nice kitchen. Madeline's excited about the kitchen. She told us that like 3 times today. So that's great.
And yes,
like I said,
sections
we're
and
open
groups
here.
will be able to use this space. I've seen a couple folks asking questions around that.
Yep. Yeah.
Like I said, give us a minute. might be at the beginning of 2025 that we start opening that up, but we'll have a similar calendar reservation system.
Zach, you want to take the pews question? You're so fond of them.
Anyone want a pew?
Are we gonna sell them?
TBD.
Let's leave that as
Breathing
to be
room.
determined. Yes. Yes, they are still there, if that was the question. The answer, but it is as you can imagine, the sanctuary area of a church is a pretty big, wide open space. And going back to the blank canvas, that room is a giant blank canvas of what we can do with it, from an auditorium to a more conference room space, conference room like in the AMC, to to a lot of things. And so to be determined with that.
Eric was specifically asking about Backcountry Film Fest. We appreciate the shout out there. But yeah, the idea is that we're going to be able to maintain our current level of programming with the space that we've got. So, you know, yeah. Steve asks about old archival information. About digitizing things through the AAC archives. Steve, this might be a better question. I don't know that this is the spot to answer that. Maybe getting in touch with Madeline. Are you okay if we talk through that maybe at a different time?
Yeah, no, that's
okay.
Yeah, that's like Alpine
Okay.
Club, and then how we're using those archives. But
yeah, and what that continued partnership looks like. Thanks. Sherry asked if we're going to take the plaques off the chairs in the auditorium. So Zach kind of alluded to this. There are some things that are just a part of the American Mountaineering Center. Things like that. The plaques on the backs of the chairs will stay. The plaques will stay. The bricks out front are part of the structure of the platform. So there are a lot of donor related things that will stay with the American Mountaineering Center. But this is it's a great opportunity for Madeline to jump in. Wow, we are so simpatico, and I just love that.
Oh, in sync. Yeah, so that said, I think that there was a lot of expectation that things were done in perpetuity with the AMC. And I think in 2024, we all know that nothing lasts forever. Perpetuity is a bit long to promise. And I've actually been doing some reading on this on bigger institutions that have grappled with this over the years, because it used to be very common to grant things in perpetuity, and then you don't have any new opportunities for donors to provide for your business, your building, your structures. So this is that opportunity. We've had 30 years with the AMC. That is a lifetime for many organizations. We are unique in that is just a third of our life, and hopefully a smaller fraction as we continue down the road. So there will be opportunities coming up for continued support of the Colorado Mountain Club, of our new space, and having naming rights on various parts of it. I can say we're going to be really hesitant to offer that in perpetuity, but we will offer it in decades so that we continue to have opportunities for folks to be a part of the club and put their name on it in the many, many ways that you all do. And I'll say too that all of this, from the AMC to this transition to the many transitions before, and I'm sure after, all of it depends on all of you. And so thank you so much for being on this call, for being part of the CMC, and for all that you've given, whether it's time, money, more time, and all of your passion in the outdoors and in the mountains that we love. That's why we're here, to support those resources together and be able to keep playing out there together and learning together. So thank you so much, and do trust that there will be lots of opportunity to stay involved.
Mm-hmm.
No stained glass. So sorry. Not that kind of church. No holy water, no stained glass.
Not to say that we can't honor Jerry Allen in another way.
my mom does stained glass, so maybe we can find some. Yeah.
Really lean into the church theme.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to honor these last 6 minutes, either to give you that time back, or to let questions continue rolling in. We are, again, just so grateful. This has been a really wonderful turnout. The questions were wonderful. I are so excited and thrilled to see that our membership and our leaders and our volunteers and our instructors and school directors are so involved and really are so active. It's really what makes our community so wonderful and great. I'm going to have the panel stick around for an additional 5 minutes, and after, when I kick everybody else out. But more information will be released tomorrow. As you guys know, you are the first ones to just hear about this, and it's just at the, I don't even think the ink is even dry yet. So, you know, we are really excited to continue, like to release more information tomorrow. A recording of this entire conversation will be linked in what comes out tomorrow, and I will send it directly to everyone who is on this roster as well. Peter, I see your hand raised. Would you like to add something here?
Yeah, I just wanted to do a quick couple things as I kicked it off. You want to acknowledge everyone's participation in this, the interest and whatnot. I do also want to just make everyone aware that there is a tremendous amount of work going into this by the staff especially. And so the one thing, as somebody who is a volunteer, not a staff member, I ask everyone to have is a little bit of patience when working with the staff. They've got a ton to get done. But we want to make sure we also answer your questions and meet your needs as much as possible. The one thing I ask is just having some patience through this period. So we're all working together. And again, we appreciate everyone's participation.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Peter.
Peter.
Coming in strong with your first couple days as president. We really appreciate that. Really, really great.
I don't think he starts till tomorrow, actually, right?
Oh, shoot. I made you start work
About-
early.
He's got 4 hours, I think.
4 hours.
Peter's also been hard at work for several months here. with us.
Well, great. Thank you all again. Really appreciate it. Any last closing thoughts from anybody else, or things you wish you had said that you didn't have a chance to say? Hopefully we got it out all on the table right now. Oh, I love that
Yes.
suggestion, Eric. Thank you. Yeah, considering some open house ideas. We definitely, it will be a community effort. I know Graham mentioned this, but it's worth saying again too. We're really hoping to offer some like opportunities for volunteerism within the like actual move process as well, because there's a lot to move. That 1,500 square feet, there's a lot in there, so definitely need some help there.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here again.